What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to another great episode of the All Around. I am your gracious host, Dr. Anthony, and it is a pleasure to be back in the house and to be able to discuss some hot topics with you guys. I have been MIA for a little bit, been traveling, sick, among other things. Just life is lifing, but we're back on track and we are ready to rock and roll. So without any further ado, go ahead and bring out my producer, Mark Lee. Hi, everyone.
How are you doing, lovely lady? I see you've been busy and just doing all that traveling, but also having that whole notion of being under the weather and everything like that. But yeah, it can be rough and all along those lines. So I know that those changes can happen. We just got to cope with them any way that we can.
We got to cope with them any way we can. I mean, I was around the babies, the twins. So one of them had a cold and I caught the cold and I didn't want her to feel like I didn't want to be around her. So, I just had to endure it and I ended up catching her cold, but it's okay. So I'm back now. I'm better. So we can, do what we do, bring the heat, bring the thunder and, everything else in between.
Well, we got to do that. So, bring that thunder.
Yes, my voice is still a little shaky, so y'all just have to bear with me. So we're going to do a show. It's only going to be about 45 to 50 minutes, not the full hour, because I don't want to overdo it. Actually, get back into the swing of things, but I am still going to try to bring the thunder and the heat the way that I know how and the way that I do. So if I pause or need a break, just bear with me. So, Mark, there has been a lot of things that has happened from the last time that you and I were live and the last time that you and I spoke. It has been so much that has been transpiring. I mean, it's just unbelievable. All of the things, this man in office has been doing, the chaos that he's creating and, the turmoil that we're in. So, we're just gonna go jump right in and just talk about topics, and we may jump around. It may seem like we're all over the place because we probably will be all over the place. There's so much that we need to discuss, so much that we need to talk about. So the first thing that I would like to discuss is the Met Gala.
Yes.
And how they raised $31 million.
They did raise $31 million.
That they have ever raised in their history of the Met Gala. And yes, and it was focused on Black dandy, and that means that it was focused on Black men and the way that they dress, the fashion, the couture, and things like that. And everybody brought it. I mean, not the white people, but the Black people. They brought it. They understood the assignment, and they handled their business. Everyone that I saw on social media was beautiful in their outfits. The men were handsome. These were gorgeous. And everybody rocked the house and rocked the stage. Did you get an opportunity to look at any of the footage from the Met Gala?
I saw a little bit of the footage. I definitely saw some of the pictures. I actually read something earlier today that I did not realize, but one of our favorite people that we sometimes talk about, Megan Thee Stallion, because Angel Reese was actually on the planning committee along with a couple of the basketball players and other folks who are on the planning committee and all along those lines. I don't know why me and you aren't on the planning committee. We need to be on the planning committee so we can be at the Met Gala in the near future.
I need to be on the planning committee.
Yeah, definitely. We need to be on that planning committee. But
definitely.
That there is this notion that you can't bring the phone in there. So apparently both Angel Reese and Megan Thee Stallion left earlier because that is one of the Met rules, is that they're not supposed to be any phones out and about and everything like that. So I just read that earlier today. So Angel posted something about that she was on the planning committee, but they have this rule that you're not supposed to have your phones out and doing social media during the time of the extravagant and
Yes.
wonderful Met Gala.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't really think they need their phones to, inspire and enlist social media, because it was a lot of media coverage and they got a lot of media coverage. And I liked how everyone was emphasized, and they showed the brief interviews of the entrance and the exits, and, people going into the Met, and their outfits, their companions, and things like that. So I believe that they need the phone, but I get a little panicky when I'm not with my phone, only because I have older aging parents and I like to be in the know if something is happening. So that would be a struggle for me as well, not being around my phone in the event that I have to leave and get to Louisiana. But that would be my only concern.
Yeah, that's a valid concern and everything like that. My parents aren't exactly spring chickens. I mean, I'm not a spring chicken either, but the parents that are in their uh, early, because mom would be about 83. As a matter of fact, she'll turn 83 in about 2 weeks and everything like that, because Mother's Day will be this coming
Hmm.
Sunday, and then her birthday is
Oh, beautiful.
2 weeks after Mother's Day, because it's
Yes.
probably like the 26th or something like that. So she's be turning 83, and dad's around 85 and stuff like that. So definitely having those aging parents, as you said, you want to be able to stay in touch with them and be able to deal with them if you've got to get into some sort of emergency situation. So I can understand why people might need their phone with them, but I guess they got this rules because they don't want people maybe seeing the fancy food, even though one of the food was apparently just some regular
Yes.
cornbread and everything like that. And nothing wrong with cornbread. I might get some cornbread later today. And I did have some banana pudding yesterday, and that banana pudding was good from Capital Seafood. So if you're not familiar with it, go get some good old
Oh,
fashioned
nice.
pudding, because it was some good banana pudding yesterday that I got when I got some seafood, because I had a taste for seafood on my
Hmm.
mind and everything. So I went and grabbed some seafood. I know it ain't as good as y'all's Louisiana seafood, because I still need to get some seafood from the beautiful Dr. Anthony at some point or another.
Yes, definitely. We gotta make that happen, especially when I do my housewarming. I would definitely have some type of Louisiana. I'm gonna do actually a Louisiana spread, because most of the people that I am affiliated with are from the South, or they have some type of roots or some type of connections in the South. And I'm definitely a Southern girl, so I would definitely prepare a Louisiana spread, or a chef that knows how to prepare Louisiana spread, and I just oversee it to make sure everything is done to my liking and to my taste. So we definitely have to make that happen.
We got to make that happen. I got a good friend of mine, Mel Melton.
And
He's
the
a
next time
blues.
I go home, I definitely got to restock you up on some Creole seasoning and the
Please.
Louisiana seasoning. So I know it's been a while since I sent you some, so I would definitely have to send you some more.
I appreciate that. It definitely was some great seasoning, and definitely helped to end some of the dishes, including some dishes that I got from other places. So definitely looking forward to some more of that seasoning, because it is very important and all along those lines. Speaking of seasoning, I had a question for you based on our
Yes.
good buddy, and I'm being sarcastic because he's definitely not my good buddy. I don't even like the man that much or at all and everything. But it's my understanding, which I just found out. I was talking to Reginald Kearney, who does Urban Sentinel, which is a black run magazine in Baltimore. And he told
Mhm.
me when we did his show yesterday that Meta,
Mhm.
and I think it might have been Twitter and some of those other tech companies were actually sponsoring the Easter egg situation on the White House. There had never been, from his understanding or mine, sponsors of anything like that in DC. But Trump is a man of opportunity and the man that's always trying to get the quick buck. So apparently he had people paying to be sponsors of what is supposed to be a fun event for the children of the DC, Maryland area. So I know you're in the DC area as well, but
Correct.
you heard this, but I heard that he actually asked for sponsors for the Easter egg activities on last Easter.
Mhm. I'm honestly, I don't know, because I didn't keep up with it, because he's in the White House. So I didn't, read and listen to any press
Yeah.
regarding the Easter egg hunt. So that very well may be true. But with your friend who's in Baltimore in that magazine, I definitely need to get featured in that magazine and become a guest on his show. So we need to make that happen. But it doesn't surprise me. Trump is about, he's about dirty deals and scandalous operations. So it does not surprise me that he is, have people pay for something that should have not been an event that's charged and things like that. So this has been one of the poorest and the worst and the dumbest the country has ever put forth. And yeah, it's just insane. And they honestly think that they're the superior race, and that they are better than. And it's clearly evident that they are extremely racist and performing racist antics, and on the guise of they're trying to do what's right in terms of Christianity and this basic level of thinking. So basically, they're trying to erase Black history. It's taken down out of the Smithsonian. People writing a curriculum and things like that. But all I can do is just send a plea out to the parents. You guys have the final say so. These people have to understand that they work for you. They work for the American people, not the way around. So the only thing that's going to be our saving grace at this point is the midterm elections, and we have to come out in full force and get these people out of the office. And we have to sit Trump down, and when get him out of office along with his cronies, we have to arrest and put them in jail for treason, among other things that they have done, even with the stock market where he's trying to manipulate the numbers and things like that. Martha Stewart went to jail. So what is the difference that, he get to manipulate the numbers and they get insider trading, and she had to, go to jail, which, I'm just saying, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And, for me, for these white folks who are pandering behind Trump, who's a failed businessman, everything that he touches is failed. And he's the next best thing other than cheese and bread and butter. And I mean, it's just baffling to me. So you would take a dumbass man who is inarticulate and just dumb, who can barely speak above a second grade reading level and comprehend barely above a first grade reading level, then take a well-equipped, well-qualified Black woman. But that just goes to show you that these white people play dirty games, and they smile in your face and then throw daggers behind your back. So that's why I tell people all the time that all of them are racist. And
well, speaking of daggers, and I know that
they're not racist yet, because they support racist antics. They support. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, speaking of racist antics, and we were talking about the Met Gala earlier and everything along those lines, there were some people that were trying to give some shade, and I know you're not the biggest fan of this kind of relationship, but Kamala is married to a white gentleman and all along these lines, and they were giving some shade because they were talking about the notion that they were hooking up on each other, that sometimes when the camera was shining on them, and then at other times apparently she was brushing his hand off of her, and all along those lines. So they were trying to give some shade and trying to hint that they might be heading toward divorce court or something like that. But we also know that the the president's wife, oftentimes puts his hand away from her, but definitely also social media, there was a bunch of then.
Your internet is messing up. Honestly, Mark, to be honest with you, I honestly don't listen to these people because they are reaching. They said the same thing about Michelle Obama when she didn't appear at Trump inauguration. My thing is, he talked about this woman and, called her all kind of whatever, disrespected her, and y'all expected her to show up. I mean, I wouldn't have shown up. He didn't show up for President Biden's inauguration and things like that. They shouldn't have given him the respect. I don't care, what he's doing and what the office is or whatever. They shouldn't have given him the respect. They should have left him hanging and things like that or whatever, because he didn't even touch the Bible when he was swearing in the oath, and he already knew what he was going to do. He was on a tour of retribution. Instead of trying to fix the country, he's trying to punish people who basically voted against him, who does not believe, what he believes, and who does not think the way that he thinks. And it's sad or whatever that we have actually come to this, and these people are actually supporting this foolishness. But the thing is that they are actually in the stages of fucking around and finding out that everything that affecting them. But they tie everything to Black people because there's an underlying hate, and there's a outright disgust of these people not liking Black people. And I don't care what y'all say, how y'all come at it and things like that. These people just do not like Black people. For example, this white woman who called a 5-year-old autistic child a nigger. So, you know, these people supported this woman. They have all contributed to her, and they have almost given her $1 million. So that speaks volumes, right? But then in the same breath, they had a problem with Black people giving Carmelo Anthony's family an actual, you know, donation towards his defense after the white boy initiated the attack and he was the aggressor. So, you know, my thing is they like all these laws as long as they don't like these laws in these situations when it applies to Black people. They want us to remain docile. They want us to remain humble. They want us to, you know, basically stay in our place. And with that being said, you know, we can take it a step further, even with the NFL draft with Shedeur Sanders, but he didn't go in the first 1 to 2 third round. And they're trying to say that, you know, he's arrogant, he's this, his skill set is not there. But all during college, his skill set was there. He met the numbers. He did what he was supposed to do. They're trying to say his the reason why he was not successful. But the Manning's father did the same exact thing, but he was advocating for his son. But anytime a Black man or a Black woman advocate for their child, it means that, you know, we're being too boastful. We're not humble enough. So guess what? We're not humble. We're going to be those people. We're going to stand out. We're going to speak up. We're going to do what we have to do and things like that. But it's really funny how, you know, these same white folks will praise white people for doing exactly what they down upon Black people for. So, you know, my thing is speak up, be loud, be bold, and do you. Because no matter what you do, they're always going to have a problem with it. And they're always going to have something to say. So, you know, my thing is I don't cater. I don't, you know, cower. I don't pander to them. I'm the same regardless of what situation I'm in. If I have something to say, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to bring the thunder. I don't hold any cut cards, and I don't care who I offend and what I say and things like that. Because I remember, for example, in communication, conversing with people in the educator group that I'm in for this area, and this white broad was like, "Oh, you're aggressive. You're this." I'm like, "No, broad. I'm just making a statement. I'm not being aggressive. If I was aggressive, I would have made your ass cry a long damn time ago." You know, so they're quick to say that they're aggressive. We're this. We're that. And, you know, term us as the angry Black woman or the angry Black man when we speak up for ourselves. Because guess what? God forbid that we speak up for ourselves and we're articulate. We know what we're, you know, they have a major issue with that. And then they want to, you know, say that, you know, oh, we need to be humble. The whole thing about Kamala, they were saying she needs to be humble. She needs to understand her place. So basically when Sarah Huckabee said that she needs to be humble, they would mean that she needs to understand that she's still a Black woman in America and she needs to understand her place and that she's not on the same footing and on the same ground. But we already know Sarah Huckabee with her man looking ass and things like that or whatever. So even with Trumpian and Trumpy with his, you know, antics and things like that, he was saying that Kamala was on the red carpet and he had a problem with it. Don't nobody want to deal with you. The Met Gala was about Black history, Black men being dandy, Black men in couture, Black men in fashion. Who want to deal with you? Black people don't support you. So please understand that you will not be invited to a Black event, you know, and you have to understand that, you know, we are not on one accord. And so it's a dawn of a new era. Our ancestors, you know, Black Americans were more passive with allowing them to, you know, say things and do things. We're not our ancestors. We have our ancestors' blood running in us, but guess what? We come from nuck if you buck. So we're about an eye for an eye. If you do it to me, I'm gonna do it to you. Prime example with the Rodney Hinton Jr. When the cop killed his son, he went out and killed the cop. And, you know, everybody is saying, you know, he's a hero. Wiz, you know, y'all, we killed a young Black teen based off of BS. You got there within 6 seconds. He took off running and you fired your weapon. Dylan Roof killed 13 to 14 black people, and y'all walked him out and took him to Burger King. The one in Pennsylvania shot up and killed 10 black people in the what was it, the Family Dollar Tree or whatever. Mm-hmm. He walked out alive. So it's bullshit that y'all talking about he got a gun and he got a gun, and you fear for your life.
Hey, Dr. Anthony, along those same lines, did you hear
because
about...
all of y'all want to kill a black person at one point in time. But guess what? We're not pushovers anymore, and we're not going to take it laying down. So if y'all want to bring it, bring it. Because guess what? So I want you to understand that we're in the era of eye for an eye. So if you think that you're going to go out there and you think that you're going to operate the way that you have been operating, you're in for a rude awakening. So continue to act in your gang affiliation or gang, and see what happens, because the people have already spoken. Y'all come, they're gonna bring it. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Dr. Anthony, I didn't know if you heard about this, but actually Reginald, the guy from Baltimore, brought this up as well. But apparently there's a woman in, I think it was somewhere in the Midwest, that said the N-word and said it to a young child. It might have even been in Minnesota or something like that. And then she had the nerve to get I think Christian go-to kind of campaign that has raised all kinds of money and all along those lines. So it's raised a bunch of money.
When you're yeah, I spoke about it when when you were having technical difficulties. No, she did. She raised almost $1 million or whatever, but that goes to show you how racist these people are. You allowed this white woman to call a black child the N-word and things like that called him a nigger, and then y'all gonna support this bullshit. So, my thing is, at this point, all bets are off. All gloves are off. We're no longer calling. We're no longer keeping your feelings intact. That you need to be handled, and that's just the bottom line. So if y'all want to go there, we can go there, because at the end of the day, our anger has always been tamed, because if we wanted to, we could have handled y'all a long damn time ago. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be in those spaces. And you think, for example, they talk about walking on the sidewalk. Don't think that we're going to be pushovers and we're going to be passive and we're going to move. Bump us and see and find out what's going to happen. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Speaking of that and everything, what are your thoughts? Because apparently, I know he was talking about sending them to El Salvador and back to the prisons in El Salvador, but that person that is currently sitting there in D.C. is now talking about taking people to two African nations. Now, given these are African nations that have had problems in the past and everything like that, one of them being Rwanda and the other being Libya, which used to be under the direction of Muammar Gaddafi and everything like that. But what is your take on this notion of people being sent to the African nations? Because now he's talking about he wants to send some of these illegals to Rwanda and to Libya. Now, given both of those countries have had their own issues and everything along those lines. But I just wondered this notion of shipping people that aren't from there, because like I said, he's talking about shipping people that might be from Latin America or might be from Europe to these two African nations that have these two troubled prisons.
Well, my thing is, if Africa is over there and these people, whatever happens, then that's going to happen. My thing is, they shouldn't allow him to drop anybody off in those. It's unstable, but at the same time, this is what they voted for. He campaigned on all this foolishness, and now they're trying to say that, oh, I didn't think he was going to do this. No, he said exactly what he was going to do. But you only thought that it was going to affect Black people, so that you were okay with it, you were good with it. But now that it's affecting you and yours, you had a problem. But see, with the Hispanics, they thought that they were better than Black people, and they aligned with the white folks, but what they fail to realize is these white people put them back in their just to get those votes. And everybody that voted for him, regardless if you voted for him or not, even if your spouse, all of y'all getting deported up out of here. So, it's no reason why, they're trying to pander to Black folks, talking about we didn't help you. No, when we went to the polls on November 5th, we helped you. When y'all went to the polls on November 5th, you voted against your own best interest. So it's no way to, be in comparison to anything. And they're talking about, Black people are not doing this. You're right.
Yeah.
We showed up at the polls. We did what we were supposed to do. We understood the assignment, and we voted the way we needed to vote. Y'all didn't. Y'all sided with the white folks thinking that you were white, thinking that you were better than, and they put your asses back in your place just to show you that you're not. Yes, Mark.
Speaking of that and everything, what's your take on, because they're still out there, and apparently they're still out there spouting the conversation points of their white brethren and everything like that. But what is your take on the Black MAGA? Because there is folks out there that are literally claiming to be Black MAGA and claiming to be say that proudly. Because I've even seen some of them online and in TikTok where they are talking about how proud they are to be a Black MAGA, and sometimes it's brothers, but there are a few sisters as well. So, what is your take on these folks that are selling their own people out and doing things along those lines? So, what is your take on this whole Black MAGA movement?
So they can burn in hell with the rest of them white folks. You know what I'm saying? Because, like Jasmine Crockett and everybody else say, all skin folk ain't kin folk. You know what I'm saying? And we understand perfectly what that means. Even in Harriet Tubman time, get rid of people who were not in support of, freeing the slaves and moving forward and things like that or whatever. They had to be killed, because if not, they were going to run back and tell master, they leaving, master, they leaving. So, it is still that mindset, that crab in the barrel. And, they think that aligning with these white people and pandering to these white people are going to put them in a better position and things like that. They are using you, just like Candace Owens, just like Tim Scott. Now everybody's like, oh, well, I didn't know he was going to do that. No, you know exactly what he was going to run a smear campaign against Kamala Harris. You did that personally. Now you're talking about, oh, you don't support Trump. No, you support everything that he's about. You support all of that. In your baby shower pictures, you have nothing but white women. You're married to a white man. So there's no way that you can align yourself and be down with the Black culture, because you don't even live within the Black culture. Although you're Black, you don't even live within the Black culture. You don't even understand the Black culture. And this is the same Candace Owens discrimination, but she's the same Candace Owens that's also talking about there's no discrimination in America. So my thing is, pick a side, Candace. But guess what? We're not accepting you back over here on the Black side. So you might as well stay over there, because you can kick rocks, but it's just baffling how these people went out there shucking and jiving and, doing what they had to do to get Trump elected and things like that or whatever. And they're nowhere to be found, nowhere to be heard of, nowhere to be seen, nowhere to do anything. Tim Scott, you know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. Tim Scott's nowhere to be found. Byron
y'all
Donaldson's
can continue to kick rocks, because we don't accept you back to the other community.
Yeah. Byron Donaldson, Tim Scott, they're all gone and everything. Switching on to entertainment, because it was on another show that I was part of, and I'd love to hear your thoughts around this. I am a fan of a certain rapper that is a woman that is an actress and a rapper, but that's my understanding that even though it had one of the strongest love stories, actually several love stories, including one that involved an older woman and her police officer, and then of course the one that I was referring to, Queen Latifah, and everything like that. So, and then the young daughter and her love interest. But there was some strong Black love stories within the Equalizer, the remake of the Equalizer, and it's now my understanding that after several seasons it's been canceled, even though they were developing those strong love stories. So I just wanted your take on this, because it seems to me that this would be something that folks should be wanting to see more of, is these strong kind of Black love stories. But they got rid of this one that was starting to be successful, because like I said, they developed all those storylines that I was referring to, which was Queen Latifah and her former police officer lover in that story, and then of course the her mother, or was it her aunt? I think it was the aunt, and the police officer, and then the young lady that was playing the daughter of Queen Latifah and her young love interest. So, like I said, that's some strong Black love that we don't see enough of on television, but now it is no longer. But I was just wondering your take on that particular series and the demise of that series.
Well, honestly, I never watched it because I really don't have time to watch TV. So I never watched it, but experiences of watching TV shows, they don't want anything that shows, positivity within the Black community. They want to show chaos. They want to show disruption. They don't want to show, how we function outside of those parameters, outside of those social constructs, because they want people to believe that we are barbaric, that we're animals, that we're this, we're that. And if we show Black people in a positive light, then that is putting, that's changing the narrative, that's changing this, the status quo and things like that. it's not surprising that the TV show was canceled, due to the popularity and the success it was receiving. So I'm not surprised that it was canceled. But again, we need to bring our own seats to the table. We got producers, Ryan Coogler, Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, so we have people that are out there that can, make moves and, do what they need to do. We have Byron Scott, who owns the Weather Channel. So he has a media empire. So we need to start aligning and, doing things with them so that we can get our stories out there and we can get our stories told. Because right now we're in the season of demise by this man, because he's trying to whitewash history and he's trying to erase Black history, which you can never erase Black history, because you have too many people who are well educated and well versed in Black culture, Black history, and who knows the history. So we're and push our history and push what we got to push. But like I said, it is not surprising that a positive image of Black people, Black love, is being canceled on white America TV.
Well, speaking of that and everything, I know that I mentioned it before on your show and all along those lines, but Pauli Murray, who was a historical figure that was known in both the LGBTQIA community as well as the Black community, and was a vital voice in Brown versus Board of Education. She lost a lot of money. The center that is in her name lost a lot of money because that money was yanked. But I've talked to the people with the center, and they are still determined to get funding from other sources, if it can't be government funding, and to stay viable and all along those lines. But we got a lot of these institutions that are being threatened by the money that he is cutting. Pauli Murray is just one example. I know that, I think I told you that, as a matter of fact, it'll be this Saturday, there will be a salute to go-go music, because Trouble Funk will be down here from your neck of the woods, as will be Belladonna, and then there'll be a band that'll be honoring none other than Frankie Beverly, who comes more from the world of R&B. But I understand there's a go-go center there that is a cultural center in DC, and I'm thinking they've got some federal money. And even Phil Freelon, who was a major architect before he passed away about a couple of years ago, and all along those lines, was the developer of the Museum of African American History there in DC. As a matter of fact, it's my understanding he's one of the lead architects, and even though he was from here in Durham, North Carolina. But I was just wondering your take on the threat that is out there to a lot of these institutions being disbanded, because he's even talking about disbanding NPR and PBS, which we know brought us Junction, What's Your Function, What Is a Bill, as well as Sesame Street and the Electric Company, just to name a few. So what is your thoughts about both our institutions and media institutions being torn down?
So again, we have to endure what we have to endure for the time being, because a lot of this stuff is executive orders, it's not law. So it's temporary, it can be reversed. And saving grace is the midterm elections. So we have to go out and we have to put people in the midterm elections, vote for people in the midterm elections who are going to align with the people, not the people who are going to support this foolishness, this demagogue, this wannabe king, this wannabe pope, not in anything like that. So we have to, make sure that we get politicians in there that's going to govern and do what they need to do in terms of the American people, because it is about it's we the people, not I the people. So people got to understand that when we elect these politicians and when we Senate and when we send them to the judiciary committee and departments and things like that or whatever, they are there for the people. They're not there for themselves, which this administration has shown that they are not there for the people, that they're actually there to protect the millionaires and the billionaires and, things of that nature. So we have to do what we have to do, just endure this for a season. And then once this season is over, like I said, our only saving grace is going to be the midterm elections. So the Democrats, and they need to do what they need to do. They need to do what they need to do, and things like that.
Yeah, they definitely got to do what they got to do. And like you said, there's a lot of that going on in that space. What do you say to the folks that say that we're not in a recession? Because I don't know about you, but I've been getting some of the food prices and even looking at some of the other prices.
Oh, no, we're definitely in a recession.
Yeah.
They don't want to admit it, but we're definitely in a recession, because if you look at the economy, the in June they're going to drop those rates and things like that or whatever. But we're definitely in a recession. If the tariff war is going to continue, and we're still, on the front end of, these higher prices and things like that, it's only going to get worse from here. And people got to brace themselves for what's to come. Because China is not folding and Canada is definitely not folding. And I was reading something the other day where it's saying that, the prime minister from Canada is over here. He was over here.
Mm-hmm.
Because Canada is now rerouting the trade agreement from the United States to somewhere else. So these people don't even understand what this man is doing. He's literally trying to destroy this country. This man is not an American. This man is a Russian agent. This man is from Germany. He doesn't care about the American people. He wants this place to be just like Adolf Hitler. He wants it to be just like Russia and things like that. And these white folks don't understand what they're asking for and what they're doing to Black people. The Black women are going to be the reason why this country is saved, because we always step up and we always, do what we're supposed to do in terms of democracy. So we are going to be the ones to save this country in the midterm elections.
Hey, speaking of saving this country, there is a couple of brothers, and I think maybe even a sister or two, that are getting involved in a conversation that is going out there about a old man and his young girlfriend and everything like that. But I did see that Robert Griffin, who is a Chicago Bears, and all along those lines, has basically been saying that this whole thing between Bill Belichick and Jordan Hudson is a distraction. He said Bill can date whoever he wants, but his relationship has become the one thing he always hated as a coach, a distraction for his UNC football team. So, like I said, I don't know why the brothers and sisters are trying to get into other people's business as to who they're dating or not dating and everything. But apparently this is something that a lot of them are choosing to make conversations about. So, but it is a May-December relationship and all along those lines. So I was just wondering your thoughts on this, because definitely it seems like a lot of our athletes are wanting to say what's going on in this space, and they have their opinion one way or the other.
Honestly, Mark, I really don't care. That's a white man at the end of the day. So, they're going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to support, regardless. They put Trump in office. He's a 34-time felon. He's a sex offender. He's a rapist and things like that. And then they have the audacity, the caucasity to try to prosecute, P. Diddy and, R. Kelly and Bill Cosby and things like that or whatever. Not saying that they are, innocent or whatever. For the gander, all those white men that they brought charges up against, only the Black men primarily went to jail, so honestly, I don't care what the hell that white man does, because what's his name from the Pittsburgh Steelers, the quarterback, their old quarterback, he had a sex offender case, and he still remained in check, and he still remained as a quarterback. So these white people can't tell me nothing about morality, nothing about laws and things like that, because y'all press law, use that against who you want to use it against. Roethlisberger, what's his name, Roethlisberger or whatever, the football player. Yeah. So, he had, sex offender charges against him, and, all kind of other stuff or whatever. But, they kind of they did sweep it under the rug. So, for them to, come out and try to humble Shador and, other Black athletes and things like that, they can go straight to hell. So, again, I really don't care who he's dating and how it is affecting him, his coaching life, his team. I honestly
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can agree with that and everything. And by the way, speaking of things that are in that notion, apparently 3 former, and this happened just earlier today, Memphis police officers have been acquitted in a state trial over the fatal beating of Tyre Nichols and everything. So they have just recently acquitted today of state charges, including second-degree murder, after he ran away from a traffic stop in 2023. And the jury was an all-white jury, of course. Took about 8.5 hours after 2 days to find Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justice Smith not guilty on all charges after a 9-day trial in state court in Memphis. And after the jury's verdict was read, the defendants hugged their lawyers as relatives of the former officers cried. One relative yelled, "Thank you, Jesus." So it looks like Nichols did not get the justice that he was expecting by these folks in Memphis. But I don't know if you followed that and if you had heard that they have.
I did. Honestly, I really don't give zero fucks because he's another one that said that he didn't give a damn about black women. So, he had a So, that's why black women did not support his case and, things like that. So big ups to the officers in this case. You know what I'm saying? We don't give a rat's ass about, what happened with him and things like that or whatever. So, oh well.
Yeah, that's the case. I had alluded to it before the technical difficulties, but what are your thoughts when people are trying to find shade against whether it's Kamala or Michelle? Because now they're even talking about how apparently after Michelle's mom died, uh, Barack Obama was joking that you're next up after her mom died and everything like that. So there are people that are trying to throw shade, even though we know that when there are funerals, just like when there are other life events like weddings, oftentimes people will make jokes, and sometimes they can even be considered as off-color jokes and everything like that. Because I think he said that both her and her brother were next and everything. Because I think she was trying to joke that he was going to be next in line. But there's a lot of shade as to whether they are heading to divorce court or not heading to divorce court. So I just wanted your take on how these folks keep trying to tarnish a legacy.
Well, the thing about it is that that's what you just said. They're trying to tarnish their legacy. And, at the end of the day, we know Michelle Obama is the forever first lady, and nothing they say and nothing they do will turn us against Michelle Obama. And that's just the bottom line. The woman is not getting divorced. She loves her husband. Her husband loves her and things like that. That's these white folks out here pandering because, anytime it has anything to do with a black woman and, the success of their relationships and things like that or whatever, they're always going to be, negative Nancy's and and try to put them in a negative position and paint them in a negative light. So honestly, we don't give zero rats asses about what they say and what they think. We support Michelle and we're going to always support her. We support Kamala. We're going to always support her and things like that. So they can go ahead and continue on with their rhetoric because they've been doing it since day one. And we still don't care about your rhetoric. And we still are not giving any attention to your rhetoric. So Michelle Obama is still going to be the forever first lady. Kamala is still going to be the president. So that they can kick rocks and they can go straight to hell. They can go knock on the gates of hell with Michael or whatever the hell that damn angel that God Gabriel that God threw out the kingdom. Yep,
they can do all that stuff, but like I said, they got all kinds of issues themselves and everything like that. So definitely, as a matter of fact, they're even supporting others that are disgraced. Because I just saw recently that today Donald Trump named the son of a disgraced former politician as the head of the 2026 World Cup task force. Because the World Cup is supposed to be coming, I think, in this direction. So since he's disgraced, I guess he's going to name another disgraced politician to head this particular committee. So, like you said, it's a bunch of circus clowns that they keep putting into different offices, whether it's the McMahon woman in education, whether it's RFK Jr. in health, whether it's a number of these other folks. But yeah, Andrew Giuliani, which is actually the the son of the former New York mayor and longtime Trump ally, is the one that they have named to head the task force on the 2026 World Cup. And I don't know that Andrew has any background in sports, much less soccer. So, like I said, why he's even having this job is beyond me. But like I said, there's a lot of people that have these jobs that he's appointed that make no sense, including Ms. McMahon running education.
Well, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that he's, bringing out the dummies or whatever, because, his whole administration is dumb and, lack quality and lack the qualifications and things like that or whatever. So there's no surprise there.
Yeah, no surprise whatsoever.
But man, Harvard, she sent the Department of Education sent Harvard a letter. So Harvard, in response to their letter that was sent over, Harvard corrected all her grammatical errors in red ink, as a matter of fact, and sent it back. Because I'm notorious for doing stuff like that. So yeah. So yeah. So they're just sending a strong message. They're ready to battle. But again, this is a show of an administration. It just goes to show that when you have the complexion for the protection, that you don't even have to be qualified. You don't have to have the degrees. You don't have to have the certifications. Only the skin color. So we already know that they're inferior. We already know that they're mediocre. We already know this. And that's why they have a problem with Black women, because, we lead in everything, entrepreneurship, we lead in degrees, we lead in, all that stuff or whatever. We are the most educated group.
No doubt, Black women are doing well. I know my mom, who falls in that category, has got a lot of those degrees and has done a lot of work in the education space as well as the foundation space, because there are a number of people that are in that space in our community and don't get the recognition that they deserve. So even though she's been retired about 10 years, she did have a long career in that field as well as in the media as well. But yeah, they don't give enough support to the sisters that are doing some tremendous things and all along those lines. So we'll see how this rhetoric continues and all in that kind of way. So it looks like we're about at the 45-minute mark. So it's been another fun show and all along those lines. So unless you got some other words of wisdom, I'll get ready to hit the dancing and all along those lines. I guess we can go ahead and wrap.
No, my throat is actually on fire. I need some water. I don't know if you can hear my voice changing or whatever. So I think I did good for, coming back off of, being sick and things like that or whatever. So I just really don't want to overdo my vocal cord. And, I want to just keep it down to a minimum. So we would definitely end the show. I can share like and spread the word about the all around. And so the clock on the wall says that's all. And we will discuss more topics with you guys on the following Monday. Deuces,
by the way, just one quick thing before you deuce and everything. There's one other quick thing. We are now getting a lot of views on TikTok. So you are actually also being seen on TikTok as well. And there is a lot of views on TikTok. So this will be cut up through the StreamYard AI into like some clips and everything like that. And sometimes the show is even live on TikTok and everything like that.
Make sure you tag me.
We're seeing a boost in tips. So definitely check out
tag me
on TikTok. Yes,
send me the information so I can tag myself as well. All right, so the clock on the wall says that's all, y'all. So we are going to end the show because I don't want to stress my vocal cords. I know that you can hear it in my voice, so I'm sorry, but we will continue on the following Monday. And click like and share and make sure you guys tune in.
Sounds good.
What's up? Welcome to the All Around. I'm your gracious host, Dr. Anthony. Please tune in on Mondays at 6 p.m. for your entertainment purposes. We will hit current topics, old topics, and everything else in between. Be there or be square. Deuces, my loves.